This morning, there are new developments in the Trump administration's push to reshape the federal government. Another department is now facing scrutiny from Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE.
NBC News has learned that the acting commissioner of the Social Security Administration, Michelle King, stepped down over the weekend after she refused a request from DOGE to access sensitive data of millions of Americans at the agency. That is according to two sources familiar with the situation. Well, the White House later confirmed that King was no longer head of the agency.
NBC News White House correspondent Aaron Gilchrist joins us now. Aaron, let's start there. What are we hearing from our sources, also from the White House, just about this resignation? And just tied to that, what's the information that DOGE is looking for here?
Well, Joe and Savannah, good morning. The Social Security Administration is in charge of managing payments for more than 70 million Americans. We know that President Trump has promised not to cut benefits from that particular agency as they're doing this work across the federal government to make cuts. One of the sources familiar with King's resignation in particular said that some of the information involved here in this dispute included bank information, Social Security numbers, birth dates, and in some cases, medical records as well. King retired instead of giving up that information. She refused to let Musk's team access those sensitive government documents. Again, that's according to two sources, and the White House has confirmed that she is no longer the person in charge of that agency. We know that the White House press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, gave an interview last night where she talked about this, and she said that the president has directed DOGE teams to identify fraud at the Social Security Administration. There was an anecdote from Elon Musk last week when he spoke in the Oval Office where he said that there was at least a case where someone was collecting Social Security benefits who was 150 years old. So that sort of offers an example of what they describe as waste in that agency. Leavitt did say that his team has not dug into the books just yet, Joe and Savannah, but they do expect that they will find some waste and potentially fraud at the Social Security Administration.
What's up, y'all? Gerald here, creator of Gospel Chops and your host for this YouTube channel, back with another video. Now, y'all, if you follow me for some time, you know that I'm heavy into this politics situation, this politics game. And I am finding out so much with every day that goes by with this new administration that is less than a month in. We are coming up on the 1 month anniversary of the Donald Trump administration, Donald Trump 2.0, and we are discovering new things every day. Thanks to who? DOGE. Thanks to the efforts of Donald Trump himself with executive orders and Elon Musk and the DOGE team of highly intellectual young people that are going into government agencies and discovering all kinds of waste, fraud, and abuse that we have heretofore not had access to. But now, y'all, we are exposed to information that some of us have always thought that things were going in a wrong direction. We always thought that there was fraud going on in the government. We always thought that there was theft going on in the government, but we never could get access. And it's interesting that we as taxpayers couldn't access that information. It's supposed to be public, it's supposed to be available to us, but for some reason, even with our elected officials, they couldn't make it happen in the Senate, in the House, in the executive branch. And here's the situation that we have as of today, y'all. The left-wing party, the Democrats, the demon rats, as it were, who have been blocking this information from public scrutiny, have now fallen back. Now, I'm not going to give you a civics lesson, but if you know, there are 3 levels of government that are important for our learning and our education, at least for this video today. You have the executive branch, you have the legislative branch, you have the judicial branch. Well, Donald Trump got the executive. He got that on lock. He won the presidency. He is in charge of everything under the executive umbrella. Well, Republicans won the House and the Senate, which means they control the legislative branch, the lawmaking branch. So what do the Democrats say? They say, oh my goodness, we down 2 for 3. Let's see if we can retreat back to our establishment of the judicial branch. We are cut off at the other angles. We ain't got no chance in the legislative branch. We ain't got no chance in the executive branch. If we can retreat back and get some of these judges to rule in our favor in the judicial branch, maybe we can stall out some things that Donald Trump wants to do in this administration. We know we can't stop it. We are outnumbered. We know we can't stop it. We were outvoted. Donald Trump got the popular vote. But maybe, just maybe, if we bring enough lawsuits, according to what AOC said, maybe we can slow down the machine. Maybe we can slow it down just enough to try to get our gatherings, to get our bearings together, so that we can put up some kind of resistance to what is about to roll us over in this government.
Elon Musk posted this graphic on X showing how many people in what age group there are accepting these Social Security checks. It's just pretty incredible that you see ages 110 to 119, 3.6 million. If you're 120 to 129, 3.5 million. I mean, last time I checked, Les, there was no one in America that's 140 years old.
From 120 years old, people that are 120 years old up to 129, 3,472,000 people. Wow. You know, that can't possibly be, because the record is like, I think it's one person, a woman, lived to 127, but they have 3,472. Okay, but now we're going really in. People from 130 years old to 139-year-old, 3,936,000. Wow. I wonder if people are getting paid with all this. I mean, are these checks? And that's what we're checking right now. People from 140 years old to 149 years old, 3,542,000, 140 years old and beyond. Now we're really going, because we're looking to break the record by 25 years. People from 150 years old to 159 years old, 1,345,000. These are in the, by the way, these are in the computer files. This is what they do well.
Michelle King, the head, resigning after the DOJ.
Who resigned?
The head of Social Security.
I don't know. I mean, I resigned or got fired. I think got fired. You know, when you fire somebody, they always resign, and then they say, we resigned. But when you have numbers like that, I think really it's got fired. They have to get fired. Who would keep them? How could you have numbers like this? Now, the big thing is, how many of these people got paid? Were they getting paid? Were they getting paid? How many of them were getting paid Social Security?
Y'all, what we have seen in the past, what we have called the deep state in the past, is not just a benign entity, not a benign government that goes on. Listen, I talk to people all the time about my governmental experience working in the state government and with municipalities. These are not just benign entities that are in these governmental buildings. No, there are people in there. You understand? There are people that are making decisions. And they take their personal lives into consideration when they make certain decisions. So you have here the head of the Social Security Department. What a powerful division of the government, department of the government. You're the head of Social Security. I've been told all of my life that you are going to pay into this system and you're never going to reap these benefits. You're so in because you're mandated to do so. If you don't, we go sick the IRS after you. They're going to come and knock on your door, kicking in if you don't answer. But you better pay into this program of which you will never receive the benefits. Because it wasn't designed that way. And not only that, but it's going broke. It's over leveraged. It's going broke. By the time you become of age to receive benefits, it's going to be insolvent. You will never receive a Social Security check. Well, what do we have here in front of us, y'all? With this new administration, Donald Trump 2.0, Donald Trump 47, Doge. What do we have here that is being uncovered? There is so much fraud, waste, and abuse, even in the Social Security Department, y'all. Listen, if y'all stealing money from Social Security, and look, under the Biden administration, they stealing from Social Security and giving it to illegal aliens. They're giving it to their cronies who support illegal aliens. If this is what's going on, then everything we've been taught, everything we've been told, everything that has been sold to us for our entire lives is a lie. I got my first W-2 job when I was 13 years old. I've been paying into the system my entire life, and you gonna tell me now that I am not going to be able to collect these benefits? And listen, y'all, let me make this clear. I'm trying to stack my bread so tall that I don't need these benefits. I don't care about your Social Security like that. I'm just trying to make a point. Listen, you sold me something, you told me something, and it turns out to be untrue. The government has been lying to the people, and I'm glad it's being exposed. I need you to be about your business so that you don't need this program either. Get your money up. Get your weight up. Get your situation together so that you don't have to rely on this stuff in your retirement like my grandmamas had to do. No, that ain't what we're striving for. We're striving for better. We're striving for greater. I need you to put in the work. But we're not going to let them get by us with this foolishness. No, we're not going to let you slip by, slide by. We understand that you have been lying to us for the entirety of our lives. While you have been setting up entities, while the deep state, the swamp, has been setting up entities to drain this money, to fleece these government programs. While they lied to us and told us certain things, wanted us to believe certain things, they were grifting, y'all. They were stealing from the American people, and I'm so glad for Donald Trump 47 bringing these things to light.
Cheryl, the Democrats are objecting to it because they're embarrassed. They've been supposedly stewards of our economy and stewards of our government for how many years, depending on who you're talking about. And this has been happening on their watch.
The agency's been asleep at the wheel. And I think that is where I'm so glad you brought this up, because it's the system. You know, the why did this happen? And actually, Elon Musk did post about it. He said that the logic flow diagram for the Social Security system looks insane. All capital letters, he wrote, Maria. He says, no other person actually knows how it works. You need to get forensic accounting. You need to get programmers. You need to get people from DOGE, that team. You need to get experts on technology and algorithms and accounting systems in there. Why that has never happened in all the decades that you've had thousands of reports about Social Security fraud, about checks that just kept going to somebody's residence after they'd passed away. I mean, come on, Maria. It's just, I can't believe we're finally addressing that.
But there is an Inspector General report from 2023 that says improper payments are less than 1% of payouts. Internal estimates put it at about $72 billion over 8 years, so about $9 billion a year. It's significant, but it's actually a small percentage. Is that the real fraud? Like, what are they chasing here?
I don't know exactly what they're chasing. So the biggest threat to Social Security right now is that the co-presidents, Elon Musk and Donald Trump, drive 10,000 people out of the agency, and those benefit checks get interrupted. That's the greatest threat to Social Security now. The other stuff they spew out there about zombies getting checks and 200 million dead Americans getting checks, all total horse hockey. Not true. But what is true is that they can crater this agency. They can do it very quickly, and they have likely no idea how fragile this already depleted and overworked agency is. They're about to find out, though.
He was speaking, we found out that a federal judge declined to temporarily block Elon Musk and DOGE from accessing federal data. This was something and a ruling we were waiting for, a decision made by the judge, Tanya Chutkan. And this is a blow to a group of Democratic attorneys general who had been making the argument that Musk's role in the government violates the Constitution's appointments clause. So that and more now as we bring in our panel. We have David Weinstein, of course, a former federal prosecutor. We have Mercedes Colwin, as a criminal defense attorney. Scott's still with us. Scott Bolden, Democratic strategist, has quite a legal background himself. And I also want to talk to Colby Hall about some of what you just heard, the founding editor at Mediaite, News Nation contributor. Mercedes, do you want to start us off on the Chutkan ruling first? And, you know, this is, and we've seen this the last couple of days, Education Department, I think it was yesterday, and now this, where the administration and DOGE, they certainly haven't been losing all of these cases here lately. What do you make of this? We don't have Mercedes, so we don't hear her well.
There we go.
There's
Sorry about
Mercedes.
that.
Oh, you
I've
can't
been
mute
waiting
your.
to get on.
She had to mute herself because she might have said something inappropriate during the president's comments, and now she's there. Go ahead, Mercedes.
I'm here. Thanks for having me, Connell.
You're welcome.
You're so right that there have been some challenges to this administration, but really it was about the definition of who Elon Musk was within the administration.
Right.
What was most compelling probably is a declaration of Joshua Fisher, who says it's not that Elon Musk is somehow should have been appointed to the administration, but rather he is a special government employee, just like Anita Dunn was, who was an influential senior advisor to President Biden during his administration. So defining who Elon Musk is what really will drive these wins across the finish line. Who is Elon Musk? Was he subject to an appointment? Was he subject to an appointment that needed some more vetting other than this special general type of advisor position that seems to be what makes it a winning argument?
Okay, David, finish up this part of the conversation. And as I said, there's a lot to get to from what we just heard. But your thoughts on the Judge Chutkan ruling?
Connell, looking at strictly from a procedural point of view, they were seeking a temporary restraining order. They didn't meet the standard for the temporary restraining order, as was just pointed out based on that declaration. So for now, he will continue to have access. There's been no finding that there's any violations of the Constitution, but that doesn't mean it's a complete win. Now we move into the discovery phase, the briefing phase, and somewhere down the road, she may change her mind. But for right now, it's a win.
Okay, it is a win for the administration. Earlier we said, well, the courts will check, there'll be the checks and the balances, but not all the time. The administration's actually been doing okay here, especially the last few days. Colby, let me get...
Stephen, thank you so much for taking time for us. So who is in charge of Doge?
The President of the United States.
He's the administrator of Doge?
No, the Doge is what was formerly U.S. Digital Services. It's an agency of the federal government that reports into the executive office of the president, which reports to the President of the United States.
Okay.
The way that Article 2 works is the president wins an election, and then he appoints staff, including myself, including Mike Waltz, including Susie Wiles, including Elon Musk, and those staff report to him.
Okay, well aware. So Elon Musk a week ago answered a question about transparency at Doge. This is how he spoke about Doge.
Well, we actually are trying to be as transparent as possible. In fact, we post our actions to the Doge handle on X and to the Doge website. So all of our actions are maximally transparent.
You hear him there. We post our actions. All of our actions are maximally transparent. Does Elon Musk know he's not in charge of Doge?
Again, the president runs the government. Then the president appoints advisors, including Elon, including myself, including all the other staff here at the White House. And then those staff, in turn, execute the president's commands and directions to all the agencies of the federal government. This is how democracy works, something that we treasure in America. The whole American people go to the ballot box, they elect the president appoints staff, the staff then administer his orders and directives across the whole U.S. government.
Okay, Stephen, I get that, but this is important because we want to talk about who's making the decisions here. There were 300 employees, the National Nuclear Security Administration. You know about this. They were fired. The agency had to rescind those terminations because these were employees who were critical to maintaining the nation's nuclear stockpile. So then who is it making those decisions of which federal employees are terminated?
Well, in that case, the Secretary of Energy would be the one. So what you're describing with the cuts in the Department of Energy, those are directed by the Senate-confirmed Secretary of Energy.
Okay, so that was the Secretary of Energy's mistake.
Well, I wouldn't use the term mistake. I would say that it's pretty standard when you're downsizing government. You make cuts, you assess those cuts, you see who needs to be rehired, who needs to be kept, who needs to be
That's not what happened here, though, Stephen. You know that they were rescinded. These aren't normal things. These were terminations that were rescinded.
I understand that even a temporary interruption in federal employment is a great crisis and catastrophe for you and for CNN. What the American people see is a government that is finally delivering a promise of accountability under President Trump. You want to have a conversation about transparency. Let me ask you a question. Do you have any idea where the $22 billion that the Department of Health and Human Services provided to illegal aliens under Joe Biden is right now $22 billion with a B. That's enough to provide a free house to every homeless veteran in America. Where's the $22 billion? I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. Joe Biden just spent it, and now it's gone. Transparency begins with having an accounting of where every federal dollar is spent. And God bless President Trump for leading this effort.
Stephen, it seems like the crisis here had to do with the nation's nuclear stockpile. And for these particular federal workers, which I'm not, so this isn't my personal crisis, military members of the Guard
I
and
don't
the
think
Reserve.
it's a crisis,
well,
and
I
you
want to
don't
ask you
think
about
it's
this.
well. Hold on.
Well,
I don't think it's a crisis,
Stephen,
and you don't think it's a crisis. Then why are we talking about it?
Military.
If one thing is clear, it's that people involved in this government scheme, this government scandal, don't care about the American people. They only care about their own power. And this is why people in government try to climb that ladder and get to a certain point of power where they control a whole department. Your department is in charge of billions of dollars. Your department has $1 trillion budget, like Social Security. And then you got people in the program who are getting payments to 150 years old, 120 years old. Who's collecting the money? Who's cashing the checks? I hope that Doge gets in there and digs in so deep that they find out what bank account this money went to. I hope you pull the secret security cameras from the bank and find out who went in there and withdrew the money. I hope you go into the department stores, into the grocery stores, and find out who swiped the ATM card, who tapped the card. We want to find out. They need to go to jail. Because this is an entire scheme that has been enacted on the American people. And it seems like no one has cared, no one in position to care. Once you get in position and you're in charge of a department, you are responsible for the crimes committed within that department. And here you got the head of Social Security who's going to resign at the last minute saying, oh, I don't want to be held accountable. No, sis. Your resignation is not going to shield you from responsibility. We need you to be in an orange jumpsuit. We need to find out where all the money went under your watch. We need to find out if any kickbacks were in play while you were the head of that department. Go through everything, Elon. Authorize the scrutiny of everything. Trump 47, Trump 2.0. We want to see it all as the voters because we understand that there's been some nefarious activities that have gone on, especially under the last 4 years when dealing with the border, when dealing with the budget, when dealing with the swamp. We understand as Americans that we have been taken advantage of, that we have been fleeced, that we have been robbed by people in governmental positions, and they need to pay a price. We're not trying to be unfair. We need them to pay the same price that we would have paid had we been in that position. No, don't do extra. Just give them what we would have got had we committed those same crimes. Is that fair? Is that all right? Here we have Judge Chutkan, part of the administrative state, part of the deep state, part of the swamp, who was trying to put things in place that would lock Donald Trump up. And even she has come to an understanding because she sees which way the wind blows and she says, hey, they're going to lock me up. They're going to impeach me. I'm going to lose my seat on the D.C. circuit if I go a certain way, if I continue to lean a certain way. Let me go straight up by the law from here on out, even though if you follow the Trump case in D.C., you see that she was leaning towards locking this man up. Every ruling, every decision, every denied motion, she wanted this man in prison because she was doing her job as a loyal Democrat, as a faithful Democrat, as a faithful soldier to the deep state. Well, turns out now she's trying to be reasonable. She's saying, hey, I can't do certain things, y'all, because y'all want me to do them, but according to the law, it's where you should have been all the time, Miss Ma'am. It's where you should have been all the time, lady. Now you want to go to the center where the law resides. Okay. We appreciate you doing that, but we're not going to forgive you for your misdeeds of the past. She's saying, okay, well, now I can't give y'all everything you want. You're coming in and you're trying to use the judicial branch to fight against Donald Trump because you've lost the executive. You've lost the legislative, and the judicial is your last resource, your last refuge. But don't come in my courtroom because I'm trying to keep my income coming in. I ain't trying to sacrifice everything for y'all. I gave you everything I had in the previous administration. We tried to lock him up. It failed. We tried to do everything we could. We tried to use lawfare to get rid of him. It failed. Y'all hired a shooter, did what you had to do. The shooter missed. It failed. Now we have lost. Don't try to come in my courtroom now and try to play these games because I got to make my income. I got a mortgage to pay. I got people to feed in my family that rely on me to do certain things. Don't rely on me, says Judge Chutkan. Tanya Chutkan. Now she want to act right. Now she want to act like she got some sense after she was going to do everything she could to get this man locked up. Now she wants to be on her best behavior because you got people out here talking about like the Article 3 project saying, we will lock you up. We will impeach you, judge. We will get you off the bench. You thought it was a lifetime appointment, but not if you get impeached. With the executive and the legislative, we can get you out of there. Play them games if you want to. We'll impeach you. She said, hey, no mas. I don't want no more. I don't want none of that smoke. Now I'm going to behave like I was taught in law school. Now I'm going to behave like I should have this whole time. Now I'm going to behave like a justice of the law. Okay. We'll give you that much credit because that's all you've earned. Y'all let me know what you think about this as these people run for the hills and resign from their powerful positions saying, oh, Doge is coming. Donald Trump 2.0 is coming. I don't know what to do. I think I better get out of here before things get too hot. Judge is saying, I think I better rule in the right way according to the law before things get too hot. Let me know what you think about this because they pivoting on a dime, y'all, and I'm glad to see it. Go forth, Donald Trump. Go forth, Doge. Go forth, MAGA. Show us what you got. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to know your thoughts on this, y'all. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video so we can get more people involved in the conversation, y'all. And like I always say, always remember and never forget, without the gospel, it's just chops. Until next time. Peace.